If we come over here, there's more that we've done, lots more. It's been ongoing, and I probably should have made more videos, but you know, when you're sort of in the midst of it, it's sometimes you forget to do these things. But you can see now there used to be a retaining wall here, and what we've done is essentially create steps that go all the way up to the top with these rocks. Now, there's two benefits of this. It creates another entrance, so now we have three entrances. I'll show you the third in a second. The first one is down there. The second one is up here. And so now we have access on the north side of this restoration project all the way up. But also, what was happening when it was winter time is that this retaining wall used to be just about right here. So it was quite high when removing snow, and I guess I could get a snowblower, but I did it by hand this past winter, and it was actually quite challenging because we do get a lot of snow here in Sault Ste. Marie to get it over that retaining wall. Now with this more gradual slope, it's going to be a little bit easier to remove the snow. And just, I mean, in an urban environment, these are some of the things that have to be considered when doing projects like this. So along the edge here, I am going to plant strawberry. So it's a bit of a challenge right now with some of the rains. We're losing soil. You can see I'm sweeping up some of the runoff here. We'll scoop that up and it can be repurposed. But essentially we want to get a strong root system throughout these rocks, and I figured that strawberry might be one of our best options to create not only an edible habitat along this northern edge, but to also prevent further deterioration of the soil. A lot of these rocks are really in strong. They're not going anywhere. So we'll plant the strawberry in here. Of course, strawberry sends out runners. We're looking for wild strawberry right now. I've seen a couple of sources, so we'll find that. Now, if I come over here, you can see we planted some sweetgrass in this space here. Now, my plan, we only had about 6 that we could get, but the idea is that this entire space in between this, because it's a slope, it's really hard to sort of plant along here. We want sweetgrass to be completely throughout this space. Of course, these things take time, and it'll be interesting to see how that sweetgrass expands. Hopefully we can find a few more sources to fill it out right now. But the sweetgrass is pretty prolific. It is a grass. It does have quite an extensive root system as well. When you harvest sweetgrass, you're not pulling it out by the roots, you're just breaking off right at the very bottom. So I've done my sweetgrass harvest in another location already this year, but hopefully by next year, around this time, I'll be able to harvest sweetgrass from the site. Now if we come up a little bit higher here, we gave away quite a few tobacco plants to the community. This is what has been left over. Unfortunately, I don't know that we'll find homes for the rest of these plants, but that's okay. We have quite a bit of tobacco planted, of course, at the corn circle, which we'll do an update video soon. We'll show you how that tobacco is doing in another location. We saw how it's doing down here. I did plant in some other spots and it didn't do so well, so a lot of lessons learned from that experience. But you could see we have 2 additional beds up here. The plan, again, I'll probably do sweetgrass along the edges here to create a strong root system that will hold this in place, and so we don't get any further sort of deterioration of the sides. If you want to come over here, I did plant some raspberry up at the top here. We also planted some peppers, but they didn't do so well, and it might have been the soil, the depth, or the sun. There's a lot of factors to consider, but we know that maybe not the best place to plant peppers. And coming over here, this bed with these birch logs that are placed side by side, this will create the final sort of bed at the front of this space. We'll be removing some of these planter boxes. They're deteriorating, and with anything outdoors, wood like that, it's going to deteriorate, and that's what's going to happen here. Eventually, what my plan is, once these birch logs start to deteriorate, and that's going to take a good 5 years, it's going to take time, I will actually dig down, similar to what we did at the front with that retaining wall, and create raised bed boxes in this space. So eventually, as time goes on, as things deteriorate, as we remove more soil and replace some of these wood chips and they deteriorate, we'll raise this up even higher, and eventually this will be a nice tall raised bed that can support anything shade resistant. Now, I will point out that eventually this birch tree here is going to die, and I'm thinking 7 to 10 years. That's what I'm always thinking about, is the timelines that we have. And in 10 years, when this birch tree will likely have to come down, that will create full sun on this whole space, basically throughout the day, and will allow for much more food cultivation. But in the meantime, we're going to do the wildflowers, build that up, get some seeds. So the last thing, we have moved from the front towards the back. Again, I just have some tobacco here growing in pots. These pots don't irrigate, so it hasn't done so well. They have already gone to flower, but we just wanted to give them a home anyway. So back here, instead of doing sort of a really intensive restoration, we're going to do little by little. So as you can see from this property, there's a lot of stone, and really this maple tree here is massive. I will tap it this season to get maple water. I don't think it's ever been tapped before, but there's a few good spots on this tree where you could probably get 3 or 4 buckets, which is nice to have. It is a very mature and tall maple. And eventually, we've already trimmed it once just to prevent anything coming onto the roof, like branches falling. But we planted some native grasses here. The idea is this is going to expand and create, a deep root system with these native grasses, and just create an aesthetic here. Not necessarily edible, but when you have a giant tree and not a lot of sun, you have to work with what you get. So same thing over here. We're using this is bluegrass, is it not? Or
that one's bluegrass. This one's tall grass.
Tall grass. Okay, so this tall grass, before what you see done here, it really looked similar to what's happening along this edge of the property, and we are going to continue to move all the way around. But again, a lot of shade in this spot. There may be some other flowers and plants and pollinators that we can plant here, but essentially I wanted to create a cover for this shed that's on the neighbor's property. So that's sort of it for now. There's a lot going on. Thank you for your time, and hopefully if you have any questions, you can send me an email, and I can answer them for you. Thanks.